There's an emergency food crisis going on in the United States right now. If you want food, you get it from restaurants or the grocery store, but we're entirely dependent on the matrix, on the system, and we don't even know what's in our food anymore. And because of this, there's this huge ground-swelling movement for homesteading. We just launched a new show on WPSN called Help My Homestead, where we found the nation's leading subject matter experts in homesteading. We got into homesteading a few years ago.
With China's land grabs, Microsoft founder Bill Gates is the largest private owner of American farmland.
And we did it because we wanted to gain back some type of self-sufficiency.
The two biggest M&A deals up until 1990 in world history were cigarette companies buying food companies.
An heirloom tomato. That's an actual tomato. The tomatoes that we have are just these freaks.
We wanted freedom through not having to go to grocery stores or being kind of plugged into the matrix.
Ladies and gentlemen, but we are in the midst of the fourth industrial revolution.
Because Klaus Schwab telling people to eat insects.
That's an insect-based premium protein. It's made from molitor, which is mealworm larvae.
This is not a good idea.
More so than health, I think controlling the food supply is probably the best way that you control people.
Let's prioritize. Go for the thing we can go for right now, and the thing that maybe is the most urgent.
But he also say, at the end, you will own nothing and still be happy.
And I would urge anybody right now to think food security and food quality are urgent. Because what's going to happen today if you go to Kroger and buy your meal? You are contributing to your ongoing poisoning.
We have been going to farms, looking at farms, finding ways to improve every kind of farm.
They really wanted to know.
Feeding the farm from the farm.
Right, growing
That's
feed.
what people desperately
growing what your
know.
animals eat.
That's right.
It's a full-blown plan.
Hey, chickies. And if you watch, you'll find that this is their favorite food.
Guys, we're doing it.
3, 4. Ready for this?
Oh, yeah.
We need to sit down with them and outline how they can move forward to build this place into a beautiful, abundant, fertile farm.
This show has been transformative in my life and even the film crew that participated in this. Our cameramen, our editors have immediately changed their lifestyle, recognizing they want to be able to learn old skills of being able to how to just basically provide for your own family. We free men want to be able to take control of our own food supply. Now, what you'll find very quickly in this show, Help My Homestead, is you don't need a lot of land. You don't need to spend a bunch of money, and it's a lot easier than you think. A lot of people overcomplicate, and they're very, very intimidated, but it doesn't have to be that way. Here's a sneak peek at Help My Homestead. Hope you enjoy. We got into homesteading a few years ago. It wasn't how we were raised, so it was a humongous lifestyle change for us. Yeah. And we did it because we wanted to gain back some type of self-sufficiency. We wanted freedom through not having to go to grocery stores or being kind of plugged into the matrix. And so it was a freedom move, and it was also a healthier lifestyle change so that we could be able to do chores on a farm with our boys and be outside more and make sure all of our food wasn't pumped full with whatever the matrix is putting in there of toxins, and I have no idea what's in my food. And so we made those changes, and it was very scary, but...
Totally, to just get out of Dodge and never look back, so.
And we found we didn't know anything at all.
Our first step was getting chickens.
Oh, wait! Daddy! 3 eggs!
Once we got here, we got the land, we're like, all right, let's fill this in with some good animals. Chickens is where you start.
And it sounded terrifying to us.
Yeah.
We're like, there's no way we'll be able to do
We can keep
chickens.
them alive, but yeah, they turned out pretty easy, and people call them the gateway animal. So once you get those, then a few months later, John says, let's get cows. No way, cows are huge and overwhelming, and how do we do that? But little by little, we filled up the homestead. Skill by skill, asking friends who knew what they were doing, reading books, researching, going online, figuring it out with some losses, but step by step we have filled up the property with animals that are giving back.
We didn't have this huge urgency about what we were doing. We just did one thing. And then once we felt comfortable with it, we were like, all right, what's the next one thing? And so we were able to kind of just build it piece by piece without freaking out or biting off more than we could chew or jumping too headlong into a lifestyle that compromised our ability to like, all right, we got our kids and we have job and we have
homeschool,
ministry, homeschool, all the stuff. And so of like, how can we reorient a life without breaking our backs? And so one thing at a time was our pace.
Coming up on year 3, we got a little carried away adding animals and a few more animals.
Becca got alpacas.
I did, but you added a horse.
And you added an alpaca.
Then there were more horses.
And then there's a lot more alpacas.
Before you know it, the pasture's a little overtapped.
I killed our pasture.
And space is kind of running out, and our garden didn't do quite as well as we wanted.
That's a euphemism for our garden failed.
Things aren't looking up, they're looking like we need help.
And I don't know what to do. We hit it off with Shawn and Beth.
I knew we were going to enjoy John and Becca from the very beginning. We had had a really crazy day at Homesteaders of America.
We want there to be 10 gazillion little farms that are working this way, and we want to help you do that.
Top of the field in homesteading, so they really know their stuff.
We had been mobbed, which doesn't happen to us because we're not YouTube phenomena, but we happened to have shared a talk with about, 3,000 people on a topic they really wanted to know.
Feeding the farm from the farm.
Right, growing
That's
feed.
That's what people test.
Growing what your animals eat.
That's right.
And we had been swamped by lines of people all day long. And we collapsed in a booth in this Mexican restaurant, and suddenly there was John. And John is charming, but he's charming in a very genuine way. And it was just the antidote we needed at that moment.
I love their relationship together. They're fun and playful and clearly nearly how many years married?
Going on 40. Yeah, 40 years married, 8 kids.
And they haven't lost the fire, so.
It's a good resume.
Extremely. So we hold way high regard. These are mentors, not just for homesteading, but they figured out something in life that really works as well.
Farming together is an incredible part of being family together, and we want to help other families.
And I think homesteading is an input into that. And so lean in and learn from these people.
We've talked to the Levels. We're very excited about hearing what they've had to say to us. Our next step is to go look at the land.
So this is Turkey Ridge. Our fence runs all the way around the property here, and cows, horses, our babies are able to walk anywhere through here. So it's just kind of all open to them. They go where they want.
As we have walked out over this land, one of the things I've noticed is that John and Becca have a lot more organic matter than I expected them to have. That's partly a result of they have a lot of oak trees and a lot of hickory, maybe wild pecan, trees that are dropping leaves and nuts that break down and add organic matter to the soil.
At the end of Turkey Ridge, you'll see our pasture coming out right here. Firing range is right down here. Yes. Huh? You're gonna ask where's the gun range?
I was.
Absolutely, that's like
really
first
important.
thing.
I'm wondering if John is going to be open to clearing woods, because the best way to expand pasture is start to clear woods. What's happening in Ohio, which is fascinating, is that we're watching people stop farming and woods are coming back in. So at one time, I think the statistics are like, it was 60% farm and 40% woods, and that's turning around now, so that it's 60% woods. And people are afraid to cut down trees and make pasture, and I think, no, pasture is more important than the woods if you're gonna try and raise your own food. So is John going to be ready for that?
No reason why these woods couldn't be thinned considerably, taking
Yes.
out damaged trees. The worst first principle, take out the bad trees, leave the good trees.
It's early in the day, we just started our tour, and they're using language that I don't really understand, of like, yeah, you got good and bad trees, you want to get rid of the bad trees. And they're like, you got a great organic matter here, and this is what, and I don't want to let them know of like, I don't really know what you're talking about, but I don't want to seem like an idiot. So I'm like, oh yeah, bad tree, yeah, get rid of those bad trees. What's a bad tree? How do you know what the bad tree is? They all just look like trees to me.
Little trees that are too close, right? And as you bring more sunlight down onto this level, we can see the cows are already bringing manure up here.
Get down into this. You can really, there's a viscosity to it, Becca. Get down in here
and check it out. Yeah. Let me just put a good print on your khaki pants. I keep offering.
Let's go see the end of the pasture. Do you like horses?
Love horses.
I have a feeling y'all are going to ask me to get more horses.
Very exciting for us over the past decade or so to do farm consultations on other farms and then stay in touch with those people, because what you find is that if you show people basic principles and they put them into act, they'll begin to learn from the farm itself. But it launches people on their own path to farming.
In a certain sense, we're getting them on their bicycle.
That's right.
And we're pushing them along, helping them along, just like a kid. But then they take off.
They start to
and that has been so exciting to watch.
We're finding people are very interested in this. People are concerned for their children, for their children's future.
They're concerned about the food that we have now, that the food is poisonous. I mean, what the large farmer is forced to do in order to produce his product, he has to use things like glyphosate. There's no other way to farm on that scale. So when we start taking it back and saying people ought to farm on the human scale, it's a whole different process. And what we've discovered is that on our acreage, which is not huge, we are able to grow virtually everything that we eat and everything that our animals eat. So we have eliminated the massive inputs that are such a part of the now normal farming system.
We're also here because when we met John, we didn't meet Becca right then, but when we met John, it became apparent that he was also urgently attempting to help people toward greater freedom. And being able to protect what you have and protect your family is one facet of freedom. Being able to provision for them is another one. And we knew that the message, what John is teaching, what we're teaching, really dovetail really well.
All right, so pasture goes all the way out down this way. This is grass and it is mine.
My concern is that the grass has been eaten down to almost nothing. Your root system is going to be comparable to what's above the ground. So when your pasture looks like a golf course, some people think that looks really good. That's a sign that the root system is very weak and not deep. So I'm seeing that's a concern.
So I can see from here you have a lot of coverage. Although their biodiversity is good, they have a lot of different species going on out there. Those plants haven't been allowed in the last few years to grow tall, put down a lot of root mass, and establish themselves as a drought-resistant forage cover.
One of the things that many people think, okay, well, I need to now bring in a tractor with a seeder, and I'm going to seed this to pasture, and there are these wonder pasture plants that you're going to put.
It's different every year. Like
exactly.
a couple of years ago, it was Italian rye, I think, that was the miracle plant.
You've got 50 years of seeds in this soil right now, and it's waiting for good management. But if you come in and you plant whatever is the latest miracle seed cocktail, it's going to compete with your native grasses.
Thought I was doing better than I was, apparently. I don't like how that feels, you know? Let's move on. So this is the pride of the farm, our beloved babies.
I'm sorry to hear that, John.
Why are you hating on horses here? Beth, as it turns out, kinda sassy. Like, I think it started with them maybe saying I shouldn't have my own herd of horses.
Unless you're gonna put them on a bun, I'm not sure they're gonna feed
Bun,
you,
you
John.
mean to eat them?
That's
How
right.
dare you?
That's right. John has a passion for his horses that's blinding him to the fact that those horses are destroying his pasture and that he can accomplish the together time with his kids in other ways than trail riding all over the county, like working on the farm. Those horses are gonna have to go. But we're gonna have to get them under control so that your pasture grows in.
I don't know if they're really welcome here after all. Hi guys, this is our barn. We have 4 stalls here, a tack room, feed room.
It's a great barn,
Oh,
lots
this
of
is
room.
nice, yeah.
Dry, good storage spaces. Right, obviously it was built for horses, but there are a lot of things you can do with it.
Like get more horses.
That's one thing you could do. You could even milk a cow in here.
That's right. Well, John, we're gonna get you educated.
We will see.
Now that we've toured John and Rebecca's homestead, we need to sit down with them and outline how they can move forward to build this place into a beautiful, abundant, fertile farm. Here's the stud pasture.
We're about to hear their plan. I'm a little nervous.
Turkey Ridge. They're not exactly in that order, but this establishes.
I'm actually excited. I want the plan.
What do you think?
I'm anticipating some pushback.
Tell me what to do. As long as I keep horses, I will follow the plan.
John and Becca, the moment of truth.
We want to show you what we've started with.
Some of what we have to tell them, they're going to be open to and enjoy, and some of it, I have a feeling we're in for a fight.
Folks, if you want to know what happens in the next part of this episode and all the other episodes as Shawn and Beth visited different homesteads and helped them out, I encourage you right now to go to watchwpsn.com. That's watchwpsn.com. We're rolling out episodes starting this week. Because woke entertainment sucks, quit funding them. Fund folks that are on the home team, guys. We'll see you at watchwpsn.com.